Hello everyone, my name is Tapio Pesola and I'm the Investor Relations Manager here at FSecure. It is my privilege today to warmly welcome you to this special webcast which we are broadcasting from London. With me today I have our CEO Samu Konttinen and our CFO Erikka Söderström. Next, Samu will give you an update on the major acquisition FSecure announced earlier today. After his presentation, we have reserved time for questions, and at that time we'll allow you to unmute yourselves. So one more time, thank you for joining us today, and now I give the floor to Samu.
Thank you, Tapio, and welcome everybody joining this webcast. So indeed a big day for FSecure. So we today announced signing to acquire MWR InfoSec, a leading cybersecurity company based in UK, in London. The deal closing is expected to be happening in early July. So today was the deal signing. Before we dive into the industrial logic of the acquisition, so let's start looking at the FSecure. So FSecure was founded in 1988. We've been Nasdaq listed since 1999. We today carry about 1,200 employees at 23 locations worldwide. Our business split is quite European based, so roughly 80% of our today's revenues are from Europe. And then about 10% from the North America, and then the remaining 12% rest of the world, which is predominantly Asia Pacific. And the revenue mix by business is a bit more than half is consumer security and a bit less than half is our corporate security. Our current focus and the strategy for FSecure really is to focus on B2B side. That's where we are investing a lot, investing actually more than ever before in the company's history and pushing for growth. So we address small businesses, mid-market and large enterprises, and the focus is on the mid-market, although we have a lot of the large enterprises as our customers as well. So and then we have the consumer business where the go-to-market model for FSecure is actually quite unique compared to many of the rivalries there. So we cooperate with more than 200 operators who are offering FSecure consumer security products to their consumer customers. And then we have a lot of shared technology assets that we get to use both in B2B side and B2C side. A bit more on the enterprise and on the mid-market side. So on the large enterprises, we offer a lot of cybersecurity services. So we provide incident response, forensics, red teaming, security management, pen testing. So many of the cybersecurity services are primarily targeted for enterprises, whereas looking at our more scalable product business, where we have significantly actually expanded our portfolio during the last couple of years. So expanded from endpoint security, where we have a lot of roots and a lot of capabilities as a company, but really expanded that towards capability to detect and respond with FSecure Rapid Detection Service. We've added vulnerability management, and later this year we will be adding our endpoint detection and response product to complement our world-leading endpoint protection product. So really the overall portfolio that FSecure today carries is already very comprehensive and allows us to address all kinds of corporate customers and really carrying both products and services, which we believe is the right mix to address the modern threats and especially the targeted stealth mode attacks that the companies today face. And then looking at FSecure performance today, so here you see that the consumer business has remained very stable over the years, and our outlook for that business is to continue being very stable. Although we don't disclose segment-specific full P&Ls, but we verbally commented the consumer business being very profitable, the more profitable part of the FSecure business, whereas the investments today are really targeted on corporate side, and there we are driving growth. So the CAGR over the last 3 years has been 17%, and we've guided the market for our B2B revenue for 2018 being above 15% growth, and similarly we have also guided our long-term strategic financials continue pushing the B2B revenue growth above 15%. So really driving for growth. And if you look at the market growth, so within B2B there are several sub-markets. Some might be growing around 5%, some 10%, some 15%, and some markets even faster. But perhaps the combined aggregate market growth across those businesses where FSecure operates is around 7 to 8% now, and us pushing around 15% growth clearly shows that we are doing something very right, that our competitiveness is there, the portfolio is meeting the market requirements, and also there is a lot of demand for cybersecurity services. So in total we are growing 2 times faster than the market, and when you do that you grow market share. So we are quite pleased with our current performance. And now looking at this acquisition of MWR InfoSecurity, so really the core of the acquisition is that it adds great capabilities in threat hunting. So that's one of their leading products that they have called Countercept. So the Countercept adds threat hunting platform to FSecure detection and response offering. So it really complements our existing rapid detection service extremely well. It gives us even greater visibility and insight to those threats that go unnoticed. So that's really is one of the cornerstones of this acquisition. So driving our capability in the detection and response offering, making us one of the absolute leaders in that front worldwide. So that's really one piece. And the second equally important is that how this acquisition expands our cybersecurity services capabilities to the biggest market globally, as an example US and UK. So those really are the big driving markets where our current cybersecurity services footprint has been very small. So this significantly accelerates our growth across these markets. And then if you look at the combined offering that we want to have in place for our corporate customers, where you really are driving both products and services. So it's very important that we now have presence, a very strong presence at the key markets to offer both the winning products in detection and response, complemented with cybersecurity services like incident response, forensics, targeted attack simulations, and so forth. So we really are seeing this acquisition to accelerate the FSecure strategy. It is a great fit to our existing plans. And now looking at the MWR InfoSecurity, the acquired company, a bit more detailed. So it is amongst the largest cybersecurity service providers for global enterprises. They serve many of the greatest banks in this industry in UK, in US, and in Singapore. They have close to 400 employees across their locations across 4 continents, so not only Europe but also US, South Africa, and in Asia, where their hub is in Singapore. And then they serve hundreds of mid-market companies and large enterprises, especially focusing on those segments where cyber resilience and cyber capabilities are seen most critical, which typically is finance segment, and also other industries with critical IT systems. And then you have the countercept that I already explained briefly. So it is definitely one of the most advanced threat hunting platforms in the market. So, and that really just complements the FSecure rapid detection service so well. So tying these two together will create a very powerful and very effective solution to our customers to counter the targeted attacks, the attacks that typically go unnoticed, the attacks that are in stealth mode. And then last piece that I want to mention is practically the second technology that FSecure acquires via this acquisition is a product called FIST. So this FIST is practically a managed phishing protection service, and the FIST it actually addresses a very important problem still. So email is still probably the number one attacking vector for cyber criminals and for targeted attacks. And very often it is the human who is the weakest link. It is the human who falls for these phishing attacks. And this FIST is kind of automating the phishing simulation so that the company employees get these phishing emails that are not coming from a targeted attacker, they are not coming from cyber criminals, but they are coming from a trusted cybersecurity services provider, in this case from FSecure. So then the employees, they get to learn what the real clever social engineering phishing emails would look like, and then if they click those emails, they click the links in the emails, they are not being exposed to what the real cyber criminals would be doing, but they've been notified that this was a phishing email and you shouldn't have opened the link, you shouldn't have linked this email. So it helps companies to overcome those challenges around targeted email attacks and countering the fact that it's very often that human is the weakest link. So it really is these three components, so two stellar technologies, Countercept and FIST, that greatly complements FSecure existing offering strategy, and we get tremendous additional reach to our cybersecurity services from MWR InfoSecurity. And then the transaction details is that there is £80 million as deferred payment, and added with a maximum of 25 million paid. 80 million as an upfront payment and 25 million as an earnout against agreed business targets for the duration of 18 months. And the deal has been signed today, and we expect the deal to close early July. And the MWR InfoSecurity CEO and one of the founders, Ian Shaw, will join FSecure leadership team as of the closing date. And this is now more of a visual illustration on the MWR InfoSecurity, so how it reaches the key markets and where they operate. So UK, their home base, United States, South Africa, Singapore, and then also Poland and Germany. So it's a great complement to FSecure existing cybersecurity reach worldwide. And then looking at the financials of MWR InfoSecurity, so according to the latest estimates, so their fiscal year, which is now ending end of June 2018, in few weeks, the estimate is them to land revenue in pounds 27.6 million with a 28% growth. So that really also is a key factor here, as we are at FSecure pushing for growth. So we have looked for different acquisition targets, those that would be a great fit for technology and culture-wise for FSecure, really looking at companies who are performing, companies who already are at a growth trajectory. So 28% growth is pretty nice. And then profitability, earnings before interest and tax, slightly loss-making. So the estimate for this fiscal year ending in 2 weeks for them is that to be 400,000 pounds negative, a slight improvement from the year before. And you see from the slide, you see the same numbers in euros, so I will not repeat the euro sums here. And now if we go back, really looking at again how this fits into FSecure strategy, to our current thinking, and how that accelerates our capabilities for both technology and expertise and geographical footprint. You see here that the MWR InfoSecurity really fits in to FSecure focus on offering products and services to mid-market and products and services to large enterprises. This really fits in really nicely what we have for a couple of years already seen being the spearhead for FSecure growth, really focusing on mid-market and even large enterprises with cybersecurity services. And then looking at the combined portfolio, which I think is very, very powerful. So if we start from the left, so here we have vulnerability management, FSecure Radar, a product that we launched to the market a bit less than 2 years ago. And then you have in cybersecurity in this prevention category. So you have the MWR FIST, which I already explained how that helps companies to overcome the challenges with the targeted phishing campaigns that cyber criminals very often use. It still is the main attacking vector for the bad guys. So now we get to complement FSecure existing portfolio with that capability. Then we have the endpoint protection, an area where we have had our very strong roots, a lot of capability from FSecure all along there. So that continues being very central to our overall offering. Then moving on to this detect arena, and this detect arena is possibly the most critical now going forward, a capability that most companies today lack. So on average, according to our studies, it takes more than 100 days for companies to understand that they've been breached because they lack the capability to detect those attacks that they couldn't stop. So more than a year ago, we launched our own detection and response service called RDS, Rapid Detection Service. And now adding this with the Countercept from MWR. So this proactive threat hunting is really amazing technology, and it allows customers really even go deeper into their technology stack, even looking deeper on the memory levels of the infrastructure and doing the things that the detection and response capabilities we currently have we couldn't be doing. So it's a great complement, great addition to our existing technology stack there. And then last but not the least, and really the emphasis is not the least, is that how it helps us to respond the attacks that we then notice, is that the Countercept has very sophisticated capabilities in remote forensics and remote incident response. So a lot of tooling there, a lot of capability to automate things, automate processes that typically are of just manual work. So it really completes the whole picture, and now really allows FSecure to have very strong portfolio to cover all these areas from predict, prevent, detect, and respond. It just makes the combined portfolio one of the leading one in the whole industry. We are very confident on that. And then you have the cybersecurity services, which is performed by MWR very similarly as FSecure. So on cybersecurity services front, this is a lot about accelerating our growth and adding new geographies to our existing geography, which was quite a lot focused in the Nordics. So now we are making a very fast, strong entry to some of the biggest and the fastest growing markets geographically on that front, in US, in UK as an example. And looking at the combined company, we believe that we are now one of the really few truly global technical cybersecurity advisors. So this industry in cybersecurity advisory, where you help companies to respond to incidents, where you provide pen testing to test their infrastructure, or you might even do a full-blown red teaming campaigns, targeted attack simulations, and all that. So this industry is very fragmented. There is a lot of companies out there, but most of the companies are quite small. Typically, the headcount is between 10 and 50. So a lot of these small companies, and this really now makes FSecure one of the largest and the strongest in this field worldwide, and really having that talent pool, that capability to serve customers that are global customers who really need to have the learnings from the best experts. And then having that strong talent pool, it is very important also for the retention of the employees, as this industry is experiencing a massive talent shortage. So now having a lot of teams here, and very strong teams, it helps us to attract even more people, really positioning FSecure as the leading vendor in this space. And all this just gives us an unparalleled visibility into real-life cyber attacks. So the combination of the two companies, from cybersecurity experts and that capability and talent perspective, is just very, very strong. And this is one of the cornerstones of FSecure thinking, is that gaining competitive advantage from a man and machine approach. So the synergies with the products and with the technology-driven business, with the services-led business, really comes from threat research, how it feeds into the product development. As an example, when we do forensics or incident response services to our customers, we get to learn about attacks that nobody has ever seen before, and then we get to feed that threat intelligence into our products. And that, I think, is one example how this man and machine, how combining products and services really work together, how they complement each other. The second thing, of course, is the capability to understand the attacker's mind, really understanding the adversaries. It's very topical right now. The whole world is watching football World Cup, so we can easily take an analogy there. So if you want to be a best goalkeeper in the world, you absolutely have to practice with the best strikers. And this also is a very strong component at the FSecure man and machine story, as we have many of the world's best cybersecurity experts at our ranks, and when they perform assignments to customers like red teaming or targeted attack simulation, they are really thinking the way the cyber criminal, the targeted attacker would think, and then again transferring that knowledge, that thinking to the product teams just makes us very, very strong on creating a stellar protection and stellar detection capability. And we see a lot of synergies also in product sales. So many customers who then go and buy cybersecurity services, be it forensics or incident response or red teaming as an example, very often these assignments also expose customers to the thinking like they cannot detect these attacks sufficiently. So very often these assignments then open up opportunities to sell our products. And then the last is company brand. So we really are now driving FSecure being one of the global leaders in cybersecurity. Our roots in the endpoint security, but we've expanded our offering so much during the last 2 years. So not being just an endpoint security company, but have added already detection and response capabilities, already added vulnerability management, will be adding endpoint detection and response product by the end of the year. and now adding two very cool new technologies, the Countercept, which is a threat hunting platform, and FIST in this phishing simulation platform. So the company brand, we are really building one of the leading cybersecurity companies in the world, offering both products and services. And this is how we see that we are with the combined company now stacking against the competition. So you really see how comprehensive the FSecure offering is, really starting from vulnerability management and phishing management, endpoint protection, endpoint detection and response, managed detection and response service, threat hunting platform, and remote forensics and remote incident response. So this is a very, very strong offering we have in place now via this acquisition. And then looking at the market opportunity, so the market in this endpoint based detection, having our automated detection capabilities, and also those companies who want to outsource the detection, so getting detection as a service. So according to the data from Gartner, you see that these are foreseen to be really fast growth markets, and these are the very markets where we are primarily now investing, and the acquisition of MWR really adds to our capability to even better address the customer needs in this fast-growing market, have capability to really to detect those attacks that otherwise would go unnoticed. And I explained this a little bit already earlier, so a bit of a repetition here because I think this is so important, so integral part of the FSecure story, combining products and services, really the man and machine approach. So having the deep understanding on the attacker's mind, and then how that plays into our capability for near real-time detection, advanced threat hunting using the Countercept threat hunting platform, and the expert incident response, and also forensics, and how do we automate all that, making it far more scalable than the market is seeing anybody doing it today. So this is really exciting opportunity that we are creating with this acquisition. And then another perspective to this, how these acquired assets complement the FSecure offering. So you see here customer size and needs wise. So the smaller and mid-sized customers, they need the capability to detect in this broad context detection sense. Everything, be it tooling, automation, guidance, visualization, everything needs to be as much automated as possible. But once you move up the ladder towards bigger companies who are facing more difficult challenges with their IT environments are far more complicated, far more complex. Just everything being automated typically doesn't cut it for them. So you need to have 24/7 monitoring. You need to have guided response. And these are the assets that we already had in place. And now looking at what is it that we are now adding in detect and response. So really adding that world-leading threat hunting platform from MWR, adding capability to do remote forensics, adding capability for remote incident response. So really makes the FSecure offering very, very strong and an ability to meet the requirements also for the upper end of the mid-market, and also moving the ladder towards servicing the most demanding enterprises in the world. So we aim to be a key player in this market in the detection and response. So companies need this. The attackers are becoming more capable. The targeted attacks we see from cyber criminals, but also in some industries, the targeted attacks come from a nation-state player. And if you look at that nation-state player angle, which is not the threat scenario for most companies, but for some organizations, the nation-state actor definitely is a threat scenario. the very fact that there are not many European companies with the same capabilities as FSecure has makes us a very strong player in Europe, especially for public sector where the political decision making is happening and so forth. And we also saw a couple of days ago how European Union now, as an example, guided European organization to avoid using Russian technology. So the geopolitics is definitely entering the cybersecurity arena more and more, and we really want to be positioning as the leading European player. So that's one angle there for sure. And really, it's the market for both products and services. Both are in rapid growth, and we really want to be taking the best how to combine products and services. So this man and machine approach, we believe, is the best way to tackle the ever-changing needs from customers to counter cyber challenges. And now, perhaps towards a summary. So today we signed an agreement to acquire MWR InfoSecurity. We are aiming to become a leader in this detection and response market that is both about products and solutions. And together our capability to address the market is taking a great step forward. So our customer base consists of a lot of companies, small companies, mid-sized companies, but also hundreds of large enterprises. Now adding about 400 new experts, so in total we will have about 1,600 employees at 4 continents and over 20 countries. So makes FSecure very uniquely positioned, one of the very few companies who can offer the set of services and products in this detection and response arena globally. So that's the story in short. Thank you for listening, and now we can take questions.
Yes. So if you do have a question, please voice it out now. We might see
Good afternoon.
themselves.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. Fernando Montenegro, 451 Research, calling you from Toronto, Canada. Thank you for the overview. Just a couple of questions. Can you comment on the transaction itself, if there were any advisors on either side?
Yes, there were. So we were advised by Arma Capital from FSecure side.
Okay. Do you know from MWR?
I know, but I think it's best for them to comment that, not us.
Okay, fair point. One more question. I see that you're adding headcount in UK and the US. Can you comment on what does your headcount look like in the US after this transaction is complete?
Yeah, we are not disclosing this information. So MWR headcount that we are adding to FSecure is 400 people, and that is split across UK, US, South Africa, and Singapore predominantly, and also a little bit in Poland and Germany.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have a few more, but I'll wait for other people to ask.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hi, it's Raul Etamaki from Procureur Invest. I have 3 questions.
Shoot.
Yeah, first about Synergies. Could you be a little bit concrete? What kind of synergies do you expect? I mean, is this cross-selling between MWR and FSecure products to existing customers, or do you want a bigger deal size or a new geographical market? So could you please comment on that? And I have a couple of questions on MWR.
So the synergies are mainly on geographical expansions in the services side, and on the product side, of course, there are those synergies how Countercept and FIST are complementing FSecure existing technology stack. On the cross-sell opportunity, so there is of course some of that, but I would say in the big picture, this just makes the portfolio stronger, and over time as we get to integrate Countercept and FSecure Rapid Detection Service, so absolutely then there will be synergies, but short term the product will be somewhat independent, so the synergy opportunity short term is not so great, but the FIST, the phishing simulation platform, there we foresee much more immediate synergies across very broad range of FSecure existing customers. The Countercept is targeted for quite a big customer, but the FIST we will be rolling out to our small and medium-sized customers and to all of our mid-market customers very quickly. So there we expect synergies.
Thank you. Then I wanted to ask about MWR. So would you describe this as a product company or a services company, or is it just a mix of both?
It is a mix of both. So it's a great fit to FSecure man and machine thinking from that perspective. We are not disclosing that information in detail, but the services part is more than half of their revenue.
Okay, thanks. And then the last question from me, I just wanted to ask about MWR's financial development. I mean, there was, as you said yourself, very strong growth in sales, but then the sort of EBIT remained flat. So, I mean, why is that? Is it just because MWR is hiring more people, or could you give us some color on that?
Yeah, I think that's very much the typical case that we see in this industry. So they've been modeling their business very similarly as FSecure has over the last 1 or 2 years. So really investing for growth and not optimizing for short-term profitability. So they've continued to add more investments, and I'm sure they could have also surfaced much stronger profit if they wouldn't be optimizing for growth rather than short-term profits.
Okay, thank you. No more questions from me.
Yeah, so it's a growth case for us, absolutely.
Hi, it's Matti Riikonen from Carnegie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So thank you for the acquisition. I think it seems from the outside that the strategic fit is there, but a couple of clarifying questions. Maybe coming back to what Raul just asked. So what was the product service mix in MWR? Like, was it so that more than half of revenue is coming from products?
More than half is services, less than half is products.
Okay.
What we would categorize as product is Countercept and FIST.
Yeah, right. So when you talked about earlier, or FSecure today has the focus on mid-sized customers, and of course you have ambition to grow a bit larger, and now you said in the presentation that this acquisition actually makes it more possible. Could you be a bit more specific, just how big customers would you able to kind of serve with the new product offering, having a more complete set? Does it kind of expand your largest customers out of the 5,000 seats population, and any thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. Good question. So a couple of viewpoints to that. So if you look at the Countercept, which is their threat hunting platform, and if I compare that to FSecure Rapid Detection Service, and as we explained, so we believe that they complement each other really well, so the combined offering will be very, very strong. So the Countercept, perhaps by its profile, is already better suited to to even bigger customers versus what we target with rapid detection service. So I wouldn't yet go and say that we're going to go after the Fortune 500s or Fortune 2000s, but definitely I think this Countercept addresses some of the concerns that quite big companies have. So definitely if we use definitions like you have a mid-market customer and really the upper end of mid-market or the lower end of enterprise would be customers that we would categorize as local enterprises. So Countercept is very fit to meet the requirements of these local enterprises. And the local enterprises, they can be sometimes even quite sizable companies. So definitely the limit or the sweet spot wouldn't be around 5,000. It could be 10,000. It could be 20,000. It could be 30,000 employees. But I think the definition is much more on this word local. So I think once a customer is truly a global enterprise having operations, as an example, in 100 countries worldwide, so going forward, this wouldn't be our ideal customers. But I think for what comes to local enterprises, we can reach pretty high. Well, that's one part. The second part, if I look at the services side, so with cybersecurity services, the consulting, a lot of our current business is coming from the finance segment. And now MWR clearly has a very similar customer profile. So more than half of their consulting revenue is from finance segment. And now if you look at FSecure existing customers for cybersecurity consulting, predominantly in the Nordics, we practically have almost all of the largest banks in the Nordics as our customers. Now MWR does the same, but the customers, the banks in London, in UK, are just typically quite a bit bigger banks than what we have in the Nordics. But it's very, very much the same vertical. So I think combined, we have more than 40 major banks now as our customers, and that's pretty amazing.
All right, thank you. One final question. Have you disclosed how much the kind of cybersecurity consulting and cybersecurity products is or will be out of your total sales or out of corporate segment sales?
No, we have not disclosed the split between the two.
Right. Then finally, do you think that something in your product pipeline can, or let's put it this way, does MWR bring you something that is already something that you would have invested in your current product pipeline, but then of course after the acquisition you can use the money elsewhere? Or is it just that it is complementary but not in a direction that you were planning to go, let's say, in 3 to 5 years' time?
Great question. So Countercept definitely has a lot of capabilities and technology that was in the FSecure mid to long term roadmap for rapid detection service. Nothing short term, but I think if you look at what would have been and what is FSecure rapid detection service mid to long term product vision, you are looking at the time horizon of maybe 2 to 5 years. So there you start to see a lot of assets that we now gained from the Countercept. So that was definitely very much on the same direction where we were going. So that also accelerates our time to market. So we now get to start servicing customers with that capability immediately versus they would have surfaced down the road from our roadmaps maybe 2-3 years from today.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Hello.
Hello.
It's Mikael from Inderes. A few questions. So first, Samu, can you describe a bit this threat hunting platform? So what kind of market is it? What kind of business is it? Is it product sales or product and service sales combined? And then on how are you going to integrate these solutions? Did I understand correctly that you're going to integrate this threat hunting solution to your rapid detection service?
Yeah, thanks, Mikael. Good question. So threat hunting today, if I look at the industry analysts like Gartner or IDC, they are not categorizing threat hunting as kind of an own market. So there is no market data for threat hunting specifically. So threat hunting is more seen as a subcategory, a sub-capability under detection and response space. So us now having that makes us really, it practically makes FSecure product vision very complete in the detection and response space. So I think that's one part of it. Then you're asked about whether it's a product or service or a bit of a hybrid. So it is quite similar like FSecure rapid detection services. So technology plays a big part. So then there is that scaling effect that you expect from a technology or from the software business, but there it is a man-assisted in a way that the team has threat hunters, which is how they call them. So those very specifically skilled cybersecurity experts, the experts with an who understand the attacking techniques, what the bad guys would be using, and then the threat hunting platform practically gives them the visibility to start looking something that nobody has never ever seen before, and really go deep into the IT environments and so forth. So it is some good. I would categorize it kind of scalability wise quite similar as is FSecure rapid detection service. So it's not a pure play software, but it's not kind of a limited. The growth is not limited on or dependent on the back office headcount either.
Okay, and how mature would you say this product is? Is it something that MWR has just recently launched, or have they been long in this business? And do they have many clients on this product?
Yes, so there are many clients for it. The clients typically are, I would say, size-wise, similar as the customers we have for rapid detection service. So we are talking about that the deal sizes typically are there kind of 100,000 and onwards. And that also gives you an idea about the maturity of the offering. So these customers are quite demanding. If you pay 100,000 or more a year, you don't get that for a beta level product. And then the product life cycle, I would say it's maybe half a year to 1 year ahead of FSecure rapid detection service. So it's not something that has been there for 5 years, but it's not born yesterday either.
Okay. And MWR's history, so have they grown organically to this 30 million revenue size, or have they done any acquisitions in their history?
I'm not 100% sure about throughout all of their history, but at least the last few years it has been organic. So I think looking at what companies today and looking at what has been their path to this size, what they are now, at least looking at the last 2-3 years, I would be quite safe to say that it's been an organic growth story.
And then one more question on the cultural side and risks. So I see that FSecure is kind of like a bit shifting towards a service company more after this acquisition. So what kind of cultural risk do you see in FSecure becoming more of a service company?
I think it's a good question. So I think it's best to repeat what we've tried to convey already earlier. So although we are now adding services to our portfolio, but we believe that these services are something that are complementing the product business and And then you have these products like RDS and Countercept that are kind of a little bit of a hybrid, so not a pure play product, but not services in that aspect like consulting where you sell hours or sell days. So we are not turning into a consulting house. We are very focused on being a product and technology driven company who has cybersecurity services consulting to complement that. So that's one piece. Now the culture, I think acquisitions, they are always risky, and whether you find the cultures of these two companies matching and merging well, that's something that obviously only time will tell. It's a topic that we looked into quite a bit during due diligence, and it's impossible to kind of uncover fully what the culture of the acquired company is. But we actually feel very confident that we share a lot of the same attributes for what comes to cultures of two companies. So both companies are very technology and technology driven. So a lot of kind of a deep core expertise, that the technical excellence seems to be a great common denominator. And the second, of course, is that I think our industry, the cybersecurity overall, this is very purpose driven. So I think all of us share the same culture from that perspective, that we are one of the good guys, we fight the bad guys. So from that level, you share the same vision. Your existence is based on the same thinking. And then perhaps the last is the cultural differences from different geographies. So in UK and US, as an example, we have had our own operations for a long time already. So from that aspect, we are not adding anything very new and exotic other than perhaps the South Africa is.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Hi, Fernando here. I'll just ask one more question then. What do you mentioned just now that you're focused on being a product and technology company. How do you expect the services component of MWR to potentially conflict with your channel?
I don't think it's conflicting, because typically the channel is not capable of providing these services at all. So I think it's you just need to have the right angle so that you have that scalable products business where you want to get the reach and the scalability, leveraging the channel, and really the right kind of a channel, especially for solutions like rapid detection service. So looking at the right partners like very security profiled MSPs or MSSPs would be the right partners for FSecure going forward. And then I think it's these services like the forensics and incident response. So these are also something that you can have a tiered model. So if some partners are capable of offering forensics and incident response, so maybe they can do the first level, and then you offer your even deeper competency there as a second level. So we see actually that a great way how these two complement each other, and how you can build a go-to-market model where there's a service creation role also for the channel, whereas you add something additionally that channel cannot deliver. And I think this IT industry has seen several of cases like that. So we could take like some of the big IT vendors like Cisco as in one example. So a lot of Cisco product resellers are offering Cisco products related services, so consultancy and stuff like that, whereas Cisco offers that as well. And often it can even be that the channel is calling for Cisco for the most challenging cases, those cases that really need the deepest possible technical expertise. So there I can see that these capabilities can coexist with the channel.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, it's Rauha Telemäki again from Turku Invest. I have one final question. Generally on acquisitions, do you think now that MWR has exhausted your financial and managerial resources, so you wouldn't be able to acquire a similar company, say, in 1 to 2 years' time?
I wouldn't go as far as that. I would perhaps go with that thinking. So I wouldn't expect us to disclose similar size of the acquisition during the next couple of months, but I wouldn't expand this to 1 or 2 years.
Yes, and you could still make smaller acquisitions as you have done before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, hey, on the services side, the question that I think was it Fernando to ask. So we definitely continue providing these services to directly. So although I explained that I can see that there is an opportunity to coexist and work together with the channel, but the current go-to-market model is that the product sales, we try to leverage channel as much as we possibly can, whereas these cybersecurity services like incident response, forensics, red teaming, it's very difficult to start thinking that we would immediately go to some kind of a reseller mode there. So we continue servicing these most demanding customers directly.
Perfect. Thank you.
We still have time for some questions if you have any, so now would be the perfect time to voice them out.
Hi, it's Matti Riikonen from Carnegie. How did you know MWR earlier? So have you worked with the company, or is it just that you now have becoming acquainted with the firm? So what was the initiative? Where did the initiative come to this deal?
So MWR, although maybe not a brand, same way as some kind of a global, typically product companies would be like Symantec or McAfee and the likes, but in the circles within the experts, MWR for quite some time already has been really the household name in cybersecurity services and research in UK. And they've since then now also expanded to South Africa and US and Singapore. But in UK, as an example, they are one of the best known cybersecurity service companies, if not the best known. So we've known them from that for years and years. And the FSecure strategy looking at, so we really wanted to look acquisition targets that really share the same vision, the same strategic thinking, combining products and services business, this man and machine approach. So from that perspective, MWR has been on our shortlist for quite some time already, and now some time ago the discussions with them just started to be a bit more concrete, and today here we are announcing the deal.
All right. So is it management owned, or how is it owned? I mean, the current employee base also a large shareholder, or are there any other kind of institutional? What's the, let's say, ownership base of the company?
There was one of the biggest shareholders. It was an investor, and then the rest is owned by the founders and then the employees.
All right, thank you.
Still have time for one more or a couple more. Okay, with that then we conclude this special webcast for today. Thank you once again for joining us, and thank you for very good questions. We look forward to talking to you again as we publish our financial results for the first half of 2018 in August. So thank you for joining us, and have a nice day.